I wasn't supposed to hear it. Not the whispering, not the laughing, and definitely not my own children planning to leave all 12 of their kids with me for Christmas while they went on vacation without a second thought. In that moment, standing alone in my own hallway, I realized something far more painful than the broken mug at my feet. My family didn't see me as a mother anymore. They saw me as a convenience. If you're still here, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Every comment helps this story reach more hearts. And if it moved you, give it a like so others can find it too. My name is Evelyn Morgan, and this is the story of the Christmas that changed everything. The Christmas I stopped letting myself be taken for granted. The Christmas I finally said no, and the Christmas I learned what it really means to choose myself. I wish I could tell you the exact second my heart cracked, but heartbreak isn't always loud. Sometimes it sounds like laughter coming from the next room. Sometimes it sounds like your own children talking about you as if you're a piece of furniture they plan to rearrange. I stood there halfway down the hall, still holding the broken handle of my mug. The warm tea had already spread across the tile, creeping toward the baseboards like it was trying to escape too. Lauren didn't even lower her voice. Yeah, we'll just drop the kids at mom's. She's not doing anything. Not can we ask her? Not do you think she'd want to spend the holiday differently? Just assumed. I pressed my back against the wall, trying to steady my breathing. My chest tightened the way it used to when I'd run after toddlers 30 years ago, except this time there was no joy in it. Just a slow, suffocating ache. I mean, she practically raised our kids already, Lauren said. Her voice floated easily, casually, like she was discussing the weather. And Noah said he's dropping his 3 off too. It'll be perfect, free childcare. Free childcare, that's all I was to them. When did I stop being mama? When did I become an extra set of hands? A small part of me wanted to walk into that room, clear my throat, and say something calm and dignified. Something like, I won't be available that week, sweetheart. But instead, I stayed frozen in place, listening as their plans stacked on top of one another like bricks building a cage. Anyway, Lauren continued, I'm not spending my Christmas cooking and cleaning. I've earned a vacation. Mom's retired, she's got plenty of time. Retired, yes. But not from life, not from womanhood, not from my own dreams. And certainly not from being respected. The call ended with a cheerful, love you, Mom, as she grabbed her purse and breezed past the hallway without even noticing the shattered mug on the floor or the shattered look on my face. The silence that followed was so sharp it made my ears ring. For a moment, I stayed crouched on the floor, picking up the pieces, a mosaic of white porcelain and fading floral paint. It struck me how much it looked like my role in this family, still pretty, still useful, but cracked from too much pressure. As I gathered the last shard, my hand trembled, not from age, not from weakness, but from something waking up inside me. A small, fierce voice I had buried beneath decades of being needed, available, dependable. No, I whispered. It was barely a sound, just breath shaped into defiance. But it felt like thunder rolling through my bones. No, I would not spend another holiday being invisible. No, I would not let them continue treating me like the family babysitter. No, I would not give away the only thing I truly had left, my time. I didn't know it yet, but that tiny word was the beginning of everything that came next. After Lauren left, the house settled into a stillness that didn't feel peaceful. It felt abandoned. Like the walls themselves had stepped back from me, the way people do when they suddenly realize you're no longer useful. I moved slowly, rinsing the tea from the floor and tossing the broken mug into the trash. Each small action felt heavier than it should have, like my body knew something my mind was still trying to accept. I wasn't just hurt. I was exhausted. A deep, aching exhaustion that came from years of saying yes because saying no always felt like a betrayal. My children weren't cruel, not intentionally, but entitlement doesn't need intention, just habit. And I had taught them that habit. I had taught them that mom will always help. Mom will always say yes. Mom will always sacrifice her plans, her peace, her body, her time. And in doing so, I had slowly erased myself from my own life. That realization lodged in my chest like a splinter. I walked into the living room and sat on the edge of the sofa, fingers interlaced, staring at nothing. The grandfather clock ticked behind me, steady as a heartbeat, steady as the years I had spent being reliable. Tick. Yes, I'll watch the kids. Tick, of course you can stay at my house. Tick, no, it's okay, I don't mind. Tick, tick, tick. By the time the clock chimed noon, something in me had settled, not peace, not anger, clarity. I reached for my phone and scrolled through missed calls and messages. Lauren had already texted, just confirming you'll be good with the kids from the 22nd to the 26th. Noah's dropping his off earlier in the morning, so just be home. Thanks, Mom. Read just be home, as if my home were a service counter, as if my life were a schedule to be filled by others. I stared at the message so long the screen dimmed. Then, with a steadiness I didn't fully understand yet, I typed a single response, no. I didn't add an explanation or an apology or a smiley face to soften the edges of my truth. Just that one small, sharp word. I hovered for a moment, heart racing, then pressed send. The phone chimed almost instantly. Lauren, what do you mean no? Another message. Lauren, Mom, we've already planned everything. You always help. A third, Lauren, are you feeling okay? This isn't like you. I placed the phone face down beside me. For the first time in decades, I didn't rush to fix her discomfort. I didn't scramble to explain myself. Instead, I let the silence grow, let it breathe. And as that silence stretched between us, something else began taking shape within me, not rebellion, not anger, strength. Strength I didn't know I still had. Later that evening, I stepped outside and stood on the porch, watching the winter clouds thicken above the neighborhood. The air smelled of approaching snow, clean, cold, unmade, a fresh beginning. And deep inside me, a quiet truth rose like a whispered prophecy. This Christmas, things would be different. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. Not because I had to, no alarm, no grandchild tugging at my sleeve, no list of tasks waiting for me, but because my mind was strangely alert. Clearer than it had felt in years. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat by the window, watching the sky lighten into soft gray. Snowflakes drifted lazily past the glass, landing on the porch railing like tiny declarations of something new. My phone vibrated on the table. I already knew who it was. Lauren, Mom, can you please call me? We need to talk about the holiday schedule. I took a sip of coffee, letting the warmth settle into my hands. For once, I didn't feel that familiar rush of guilt or pressure. It was almost unsettling, the absence of panic, but also liberating. A second message came through. Lauren, if you don't help, what are we supposed to do? Everyone's counting on this. There it was, the old weight trying to climb back onto my shoulders. For years, I had trained myself to carry everyone else's emergencies, but this time I breathed through it. The world did not collapse. The sky did not fall. No one died because I said no. A few minutes later, Noah called. I didn't pick up. He left a voicemail, his tone confused, a little frustrated, but not cruel. Mom, I just heard from Lauren. Look, can you call me back? We just need to figure out a plan. That was the part they never understood. There was no we in these situations, only me. They planned the vacations. They chose the dates. They packed their bags. And then they placed the responsibility, every ounce of it, on my doorstep like a delivery I never ordered. I wrapped a shawl around my shoulders and stepped outside. The snow was deeper now, crunching softly beneath my boots. The cold air hit my face, stinging my cheeks awake. For the first time in years, I didn't feel tethered to the house. I didn't feel obligated to stay near the phone. I didn't feel owned. My neighbor, Mrs. Townsend, waved from her driveway as she took out her recycling. Morning, Evelyn, you're up early. Couldn't sleep, I said with a small smile. She shook her head sympathetically. The holidays will do that to you. All that planning and cooking, I don't know how you do it every year. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I'm not doing it this year, I replied. She paused, genuinely taken aback. Well, good for you, it's about time someone else stepped up. Her words sank into me like warm water. Good for you, when was the last time someone said that to me? When I went back inside, I found my phone buzzing again, but instead of answering, I sat down with a small notebook. I smoothed the first page and stared at the blank space, feeling a quiet tremor of possibility. What did I want for Christmas? For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't planning around anyone else. I wasn't sure what my answer was yet, but I knew exactly what it wasn't. It wasn't babysitting. It wasn't being taken for granted. It wasn't disappearing into responsibility. Whatever came next, it would be mine. By afternoon, my phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree, except none of the alerts brought joy. Group messages, missed calls, questions disguised as concern, concern disguised as guilt. Lauren finally resorted to a voice message. Mom, I don't understand what's going on. You've always helped. If you were upset, why didn't you just say something earlier? This puts all of us in a really difficult position. I closed my eyes. There it was again, my needs framed as an inconvenience. I pressed play on Noah's voicemail next. Hey mom, look, we're not trying to take advantage of you, but we already booked the trip. The kids are excited. And honestly, you're the only one we trust to handle them all. Please don't do this now. That line, please don't do this now, hit deeper than they intended. For years, I had wanted to say, please don't ask me last minute. Please don't assume I have no life. Please don't treat my time as disposable. But mothers rarely say such things, do we? We swallow them whole. I wasn't swallowing anymore. I took my time before responding, brushing down the guest room sheets, wiping the countertops, reorganizing the pantry. Not because I was preparing for anyone to stay, but because movement steadied me. When I finally sat down with my phone, my hands didn't shake. I typed one message into the family group chat. I will not be babysitting this Christmas. I have plans of my own. You'll need to make alternate arrangements. Simple. Clear, unapologetic. Within seconds, dots appeared. Lauren was typing, then stopped, then started again, then stopped. A minute later, her message arrived. What plans? You don't do anything for Christmas. A softness washed over me, not sadness, not anger, clarity. They truly didn't know me, not as a woman with desires, hobbies, or dreams, only as the one who kept everything running in the background. I replied, perhaps you never noticed. Silence followed, an unfamiliar quiet like the air right before a storm breaks. Then another message popped up. Noah, are you upset with us? Just be honest. Honesty. After 40 years of motherhood, honesty felt like a luxury I finally could afford. I took a breath, letting my words settle before sending them. I'm not upset, I'm simply done being taken for granted. This time, the silence was heavier, dense, real. I put the phone down and stepped outside again. The world was blanketed in white, soft, undisturbed snow covering the neighborhood like a fresh start. My breath puffed into the air in little clouds, each one dissolving into the twilight. Inside, the phone buzzed again, but I didn't rush to answer. Not because I wanted to punish them, but because, for the first time in my life, my time belonged to me. My hands felt warm inside my pockets. My shoulders felt lighter. And somewhere inside my chest, a small ember of joy began to glow, fragile but alive. Something was shifting, not in them, in me. And once a woman rediscovers her own worth, everything around her has to adjust. The next morning, I woke up before the sun again, but this time, it wasn't worry tugging me out of bed. It was something lighter, something I hadn't felt in years. Anticipation. I made myself a simple breakfast, humming to the quiet house. The silence felt different today. Not empty, not lonely, just mine. My phone sat face down on the table, buzzing every so often like a stubborn child tugging at my sleeve. I ignored it, pouring myself another cup of coffee and watching the snow fall softly outside. By mid-morning, the messages had shifted. Guilt had turned into confusion. Confusion had turned into defensiveness. Lauren, so you're really doing this right before the holidays? Noah. Can we at least talk in person? Then the one that surprised me most, Lauren again, but quieter this time. Mom, did we do something wrong? I set my coffee down and sat with that question. Had they done something wrong? Yes. But the bigger truth was this. I had allowed it for so long that they didn't even know they were crossing a line, because I never drew one. I typed a slow, steady reply. I need space, I need rest, I need a Christmas that doesn't drain me. I love you both, but I love myself too, and I'm learning to show it. Seconds later, the typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. Finally, Lauren again. Okay, we'll figure something out. I didn't realize you felt this way. It wasn't an apology, not yet, but it was the first crack in the wall, a small opening, a chance for them to grow. I put my phone away, not in anger, but in peace. Then I went into my bedroom and pulled out something I hadn't touched in years, a suitcase. Not for a flight, not for a trip, for a choice. A choice to leave the house for Christmas morning and spend the day however I pleased. Maybe at the botanical garden the next town over. Maybe at a little cafe with warm pastries and Christmas jazz. Maybe sitting by a lake with a blanket, watching the world sparkle under winter light. It didn't matter what I did. What mattered was that it would be mine. As I folded a sweater into the suitcase, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I looked different, not younger, not transformed, just present. like I had finally stepped into my own skin after years of shrinking myself to fit everyone else's needs. A soft knock at the door startled me. I opened it to find Mrs. Townsend standing there, bundled in a heavy coat, her cheeks rosy from the cold. "Evelyn," she said gently, "I'm heading to the holiday market. Would you like to join me?" For a moment, old habits flared, the instinct to decline, to stay home just in case one of my children needed me. But then I remembered today nobody owned my time. I smiled, a real one. "I'd love to," I told her. As we walked down the snowy path together, I felt something warm blooming inside me, a soft, powerful certainty. This Christmas wasn't about running their lives. It was about finally living mine. And maybe, just maybe, that was the greatest gift I had ever given myself.